Welcome back to Living Local. Have you ever heard that fats are bad for you? Well, contrary to what you might think, not all fats were created equally. There is such a thing as good fats, but there's a lot of confusion out there about what is truly healthy. And to help us sort it all out is Hy-Vee registered Welcome back to Living Local. Have you ever heard that fats are bad for you? Well, contrary to what you might think, not all fats were created equally. There is such a thing as good fats, but there's a lot of confusion out there about what is truly healthy. And to help us sort it all out is Hy-Vee registered dietitian Nina Struss, in this segment sponsored by Hy-Vee. Nina, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so fat, it kind of gets a bad reputation, I think, but it's very vital for our health. Why is it so important?
Yeah, absolutely. It does get a really bad rap, but it is incredibly important for a lot of different processes in our body. It helps to provide insulation. It helps to regulate our body temperature. It's really important for our brain health, especially for kids as they're growing too. And I think one of the most beneficial things from a culinary standpoint is it provides flavor, different texture, a feeling of satisfaction and satiety oftentimes at meals too.
Yeah. So one misconception is that about fat is that it will make you fat. So talk to us about why fat is such a bad word when it comes to eating well.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the biggest reasons why it's been demonized by diet culture for years is because fat naturally has more calories per gram than carbohydrates and protein. So we're going to attack the thing that has the most calories and restrict it and get rid of it as much as possible. When in actuality, fat in moderate amounts can actually be really important for our blood sugar levels, our metabolism. It can be important for our overall hormone levels, so many different things. And so we don't want to get rid of it completely. And just because we're eating fat doesn't mean that that's going to also make us fat.
Right. Okay, so talk to us about some of the good for you fats.
So the ones that are typically going to have more beneficial effects on our body are going to be our unsaturated fats. So things like our monounsaturated fats and our polyunsaturated fats. And so those are going to show up in a couple of different forms in our diet. We have things like our fish and seafood, specifically more of our fattier fishes like salmon, tuna, sardines, mackerel. And then of course we're going to get them in some of our oils. I have avocado oil here, also olive oil, canola oil are going to have some of those healthier fats. Avocados are going to be a really great source of those monounsaturated fats, whether you're buying them fresh. I have them frozen here too, which can sometimes be a more versatile way to utilize them. And then nuts and seeds, of course, too. So our nuts, nut butters that are made from those, things like flaxseed, chia seed, going to have some good sources of those healthier fats. And then believe it or not, even like our egg yolks have a lot of our healthy fats in the actual yolk part of it too. So a lot of different places you can find those healthier fats in our diet.
Okay, so what fats should we avoid?
Yes, so we want to really avoid trans fat, which has for the most part gotten out of our food system pretty well. But then saturated fat is going to be one that we don't want to necessarily avoid, but we do want to limit it. High amounts of saturated fat can affect our heart health, and so that's going to be more in like our things like some of our animal fats, some of our products from animals like dairy, yogurt, milk, cheese, those types of things.
Okay, so if a food is labeled fat-free, does that mean that it's a good choice?
Yeah, good question. Not necessarily.
Okay.
I'm definitely more of a proponent for buying the regular thing and using it in the portion size. The thing with fat-free is when we remove fat, we're also removing some sort of texture component to that or flavor component. So oftentimes things that are fat-free have things like sugar or something else added to it. So it's not necessarily a better choice. And oftentimes people find they're not as satisfied with it either, just because of the lack of flavor.
Right. So we really should be looking at those labels. So how do we spot saturated fats and trans fats on food labels? Are there other words that maybe they use? Because sometimes those get a little tricky.
Yeah, so you can, saturated fat and trans fat is listed on the label where you are able to see it under that total fat. But then also too things like palm oil, or if you see the word partially hydrogenated vegetable oils or oils, that's going to be trans fat. Palm oil, those types of things are going to be more saturated fat. percent.
Okay, yeah, I can see those. Yeah, it is listed right here. Trans fat, saturated fat. So that's what we should be looking for. Hy-Vee has some great services, such as tests to determine if you have high cholesterol, as well as wellness sessions. How can someone take advantage of these services and in these classes at Hy-Vee?
Yeah, so we have some great things to offer. You can go to Hy-Vee.com, click on the dietitian tab, and search based off of your store. We offer cholesterol screenings at a low cost at any time. And then also this month in March, we're doing our free omega-3 screenings too, which is a really great way to see if the fats that you're consuming are actually making a dent in your health.
Right. And if we're going to have to, bump up the supplements,
if you need to do any sort of supplementation, absolutely.
All right, Nina. Always some good information there. Thank you for coming in today. And again, the segment was sponsored by Hy-Vee. And for more information, you can visit Hy-Vee.com. And we'll also have all those details posted on ourquadcities.com. More Living Local continues after the break. Stay with us.